Hello and welcome to a Bob's Pro Shop video ball review. Today we are taking a look at the Storm Phase 2 with shots thrown by Jake Satterley, Troy White, and Louis Karai. First up we have Jake Satterley. Jake gives us a look at how this ball will look for the high rev rate players. Jake is a one-handed, no-thumb player that's comparable to your standard crankers and two-handed bowlers. Jake, what are your thoughts on the Phase 2?
The Phase 2 for me is the epitome of predictability. I can count on this ball to produce the shape I'm looking for every time I throw it. On the house shots, I like to play more towards the middle, and it allows me to stay there for a majority of a league night or a practice session. If I have to move to the ride doll, I'll be able to stay in this ball and just get more up the back of it. And if I have to move left, I can get more around the ball and slow down my speed to keep hitting that right spot. The ball gives me a lot of miss room and is able to be thrown on most patterns out there. It is my go-to ball out of my bag for any tournament or any league in a house I'm not familiar with. Whether you need a ball that's a bit weaker than those stronger asymmetric pieces or a ball that's stronger than the weaker symmetric pieces, it's a great ball to fill that spot in your bag. It allows you to get a good reading of the lane whenever they're playing difficult, and it allows you to accurately judge whether you want to go to a stronger or a weaker ball. This is one of my favorite releases Storm has ever put out, and there's definitely a reason the bowlers on tour are still throwing it consistently. This ball gives you great looks with the smooth early reading cover stock and stays continuous down lane with the strong symmetric core. Whether you play more in the mid lane or down the side and in, this ball will be a good fit for you.
I agree. This ball is definitely extremely versatile and predictable, making it a great fit for any bowler's arsenal. If you're looking for a strong benchmark ball reaction, this is a really good piece to consider. The Phase 2 will allow you to stay near the track and control the break point during the first game or so, and then allow you to get around it and move inside later into the block without losing any continuation down the lane. Next up is myself giving a look at the Phase 2 for the left-handers. I tend to be a speed-dominant player, which allows me to force straighter angles through the front part of the lane and stay more towards the outside part of the lane. For me, the Phase 2 reads the mid lane really well. It's very controllable and continuous at the back. This ball works really well for me on the medium patterns with a lot of front volume. I also could see myself throwing this on longer patterns if I want something that's just a little bit less than my asymmetrical equipment, or it's a really good ball to go to after I start with my asymmetric equipment and they start to be a little bit too much, reading early and burning up near the back part of the lane. On the house pattern, for the way I like to throw it, I tend to find this ball slightly strong, forcing me a little bit more towards the inside of the lane to try and find more oil to help get the ball to push to the back. So, as you can see here, I am kind of around 15 at the arrows, so third arrow, kind of trying to just roll it out to about 8 to 10 down the lane, and you can see it just produces a very smooth continuous motion through the pins, which is always good if you're just trying to get something to blend the pattern. You're not looking for anything too crazy at the back part of the lane. The only issue that I find with this ball is whenever I start to leak it a little bit left early, it tends to start up really quickly. Like right there, I was high flush, still got the 6-pin out, but in the next shot or so, you're going to see that I leave a couple 6-pins, and that's just what happens whenever I get this ball to the dry a little too fast. So on this shot right here, left a 6-pin, but other than that, that's probably the only thing with this ball. Really can see myself throwing a lot on the harder, flatter patterns out on tour or just at some local amateur tournaments. But next up, we have some shots by Louis, and he's going to give you a rundown of what he likes and sees from this ball.
This ball is as advertised. There's a reason the vast majority of Storm and Rotogrip staffers have this ball in their bag at all times. The Phase 2 features the TX16 cover stock and the Velocity core. This ball comes at 3,000 out of box, but it feels more like 2,000. After you get about 10 games of lane shine, you really get that 3,000 out of box feel that was advertised at. This ball has a high flare potential. My favorite ball of all time is the IQ Tour, and the Phase 2 to me feels like an IQ Tour with cement wrapped around it. This ball is more shaped downlane than my Idol, which complements the smooth arcing motion of the Idol. The Phase 2 is typically the first ball out of my bag on league nights. This ball is a solid choice for typical house shots, but if you bowl on sport patterns, that's when this ball really shines. This ball is a solid selection on your 40 to 45 foot patterns with heavy to medium mid lane volume. When you want to play tight and keep your break point more inside, this ball works fantastic. As well as when they break down game 3 to 6 in an 8-game block, you can slow it down, get around it, and pop it off the spot further outright. This ball matches up with most bowlers and is going to be in production for a long time, so no one should ever miss out on this one.
Alright guys, so there you have it, the Storm Phaze 2. This piece is a fantastic benchmark ball. It fits below the asymmetric balls like the UFO, Cruxes, and Halos, but it's more than the IQs, High Roads, and the weaker symmetrics. It really fits well with the upper mid-range balls like the Idols, with the TX16 solid reactive cover and the Velocity symmetric core that creates that fantastic continuation down lane. Thanks for watching the video. If you'd like to get your hands on this ball, contact us at our Facebook, Instagram, or come see us in store at Bob's Pro Shop. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check the description for links to all of our platforms.